This is every Amazon Mayhem Attack Squad 2-pack Doom and Destruction Legacy figure, which is an absolute mouthful, but it always is with Hasbro's naming conventions. So the Mayhem Attack Squad is a dark, twisted, Family Guy version of the Autobots, and that holds especially true for Breakdown here. They're pretty much the yin to the Wrecker's yang, who are the Autobot version of the Mayhem Attack Squad. And the Mayhem Attack Squad is also infinitely cooler, but unfortunately they're not as popular, and I legit had no idea they were even a thing until the yearly Transformers figure leaks came through, and I saw amongst the list the Mayhem Attack Squad capsule. I read the Wikipedia and was immediately invested. Hasbro, without fail, once again, takes my hard-earned money for Transformers I have no idea who they even are and have zero attachment to. So when these figures were revealed, there was a bit of controversy with one elephant-colored individual in the room. See, a lot of people loathe the fact that Breakdown here was a bulkhead retool, and the only thing different about them was their heads and colors. Immediately following his reveal, Breakdown was burnt to hell and back online by people complaining that he was hideous and a disservice to Transformers Prime, which I completely agreed with at the time. Here's the thing though, this guy does not deserve the hate he gets. He is beautiful in person. I actually adore him. And sure, he's just a lazy reuse that has zero retooling besides his face and a hammer, and his tolerances which suck. But besides that, I love him. He's awesome. I don't know what the big deal is about him. Sure, he looks terrible, but he feels and looks nice after you get past the terrible factor. Anyway, I gotta pause because I haven't even started ranking the characters yet, which I now will. This is Malleus Minotaurus, and yes, he counts as a figure and not an accessory. His name is literally written on the box, and he's not even a Decepticon as well, by the way. This guy's an Autobot. When did the Mayhem Attack Squad start enlisting Autobots into their ranks? So yeah, here he is, Malleus Minotaurus. What a creative name. He transforms into a hammer, and he's all silver. I hate him. Yeah, this might be a surprise, but I got Ruckus here, who I do actually like as a figure, unlike the previous figure. Compared to the rest, he's not as good as them, if you would say, and he's also got a lot of very glaring issues that are very hard for me to look past and accept, like the entirety of his legs. I really hate his legs. Like, his ankles look like dislocated knees. Whenever you bend his ankles, it just looks terrible. It looks like he's wearing high heels, he's got dislocated knees. He's also got this very blank chest. It's so plain and boring and vanilla, and the colors, I'm just not a fan of it. Like, seriously, this is just the biggest eyesore of all time. And speaking of paint, Ruckus's face is hideous. He looks like a Simpsons character. No! The sculpt of it is fine, but it's just the paint is just not good in any way at all. But with that out of the way, I can tell you what I do like about the figure, which is nothing. Just kidding, he has these guns on his back which fold over to the front in the same vein as Crankcase, except they're so much bigger and so much better and can even be unplugged and used as pistols, and I really like these things. They're really fun to swing back and forth. He also has this little pistol which, like Crankcase, doubles as the grill on his car mode, and we're not going to transform into the car mode because I do not care about transforming Transformers. Also, a word of caution about this guy, he has rubber tires, and I've read horror stories on Reddit of rubber tire Transformers rubbing off paint when they rub their tires on them. That's also the reason I never brought Beachcomber, because of his rubber tires. Okay, this is where we get into the good stuff that I actually adore and love. I mean, Ruckus is alright, but Bludgeon here? Oh my god, this guy's beautiful and amazing.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Now don't get it twisted, he is no Legacy Bludgeon, who is one of my all-time favorite Transformers figures. He's just him in the Subway mascot colors. Whereas Legacy Bludgeon was in Hungry Jack's mascot colors. And they're gonna make another version of him, but it's gonna be in KFC mascot colors. I hope. So the figure itself is awesome, it poses incredibly well and is zero back kibble, it has articulated fingers and looks badass. Even his face, which looks like he's constantly slurping noodles if you squint, is badass. And while I do prefer his predecessor's head sculpt, which doesn't have the noodles, it's still nice to get something different which still looks super nice. And unlike Ruckus, his chest is visually interesting and stands out. He uses these little red details to break up the monotony, and Ruckus can take a few notes. Speaking of predecessors, here's Tarn, who's the original mold of all of the Bludgeons, but unlike Tarn and the previous Bludgeon, the new Bludgeon gets his very own chest and waist skirt mold, which is nice and helps sets him apart from the others, and also looks pretty cool. For accessories, he gets Tarn's guns, which I'm just not even going to bother with, and he also gets this Ronin-esque dark steel looking sword, which is darker than Hungry Jack's Bludgeon's sword, and has a better looking handle which is black, but I prefer the silver of Hungry Jack's Bludgeon's sword. This is really hard, it's like a tongue twister. If only you could take the black handle and swap them around. Here he is, the bot, the myth, the legend himself. Legacy Breakdown, which is a fitting name because mine feels like he's on the verge of breaking down with how loose some of the tolerances on him are. But despite that, I'm still drawn to him like moth to lamplight. Standing him next to Bulkhead, which is the retool of, in my opinion, and this may be a little controversial, Breakdown is superior. Looks wise, not tolerance wise. Look at his flailing leg. Now that might sound a bit controversial because he is just a remold after all, but this mold just fits better for him, I feel personally. Breakdown's a character that's known to be in shape, more strong, whereas Bulkhead is almost always portrayed as a large big boy. But obviously they can't really capture that with the G1ification thing. Breakdown just really captures the spirit of his character. He stands at a nice height like you'd expect. His paint deco I feel is genuinely awesome. Like this navy blue is just so beautiful and crisp to look at. His head sculpt is amazing. It literally looks exactly like the character. He even has this little nose, which I feel like there's no point in adding this nose, but it's there. So he gets a little ugly nose. And the angles of his head sculpt are also impeccable. Chef's kiss. Now, the big red button issue with Breakdown, the only one that I really have, besides his tolerances, is his cab section, which is the exact same as Breakdown's and looks a little plain. But you know how I just said that it was an issue? I was actually lying. It's not an issue at all. It's only an issue for other people who think he's a lazy retool, which I do not agree with. And even though he looks the exact same as Bulkhead, besides their heads, it just works for me. I don't know what it is, but when I stand them next to each other, I see two separate characters and not the exact same character with a different head. It's just one of those things that works for thee and not for thou. Okay, this is Barrage and Chop Shop, but I'm just gonna give it tie to because honestly, I can't decide which one is better and which one's worse. I love these two bug boys equally, but we'll start with the Family Guy one. So Barrage here, whose claim to fame is that his only animated appearance in the entire history of his character is in Family Guy, is very cool. I don't know anything about this character at all besides what I read on Wikipedia and saw on Family Guy, and all he did in Family Guy was stand there menacingly.
I command, and we will defeat the Autobots.
So when I unboxed the packaging, I was under the impression that Barrage was gonna be lame and Chop Shop was gonna be cool, but I couldn't have got it more backwards. Chop Shop looks like chocolate and Barrage looks like a Subway employee. I don't know what it is with Subway colored characters in this line, but keep it going, Hasbro. Now the only fault I have with this piece of art figure is the yellow on his shins, which is painted on, barely matches out with the rest of him, and you can see the green beneath it. Like, this yellow is just not good at all. I don't know why they even bothered. They should just left it all green, because this yellow looks terrible. His face sculpt, I'm also going to talk about. It looks beautiful. It is amazing. I don't know what his face is meant to look like, but I love the way his face sculpt looks. It has these little turnip things at the end of his head, which remind me of turnips, which is why I said that. And I like the way that they hang off the back of his head. What am I talking about right now? He also comes with all these accessories, which I'm not even going to bother putting on him because I like the way he looks right now with these little guns under his arms. But his the inside of his hands are very hollow, and that's the only thing I don't like about him besides the paint. Alright, Chop Shop time. And I read his Wikipedia page, and it described him as a kleptomaniac. And pretty much what that means is he has uncontrollable impulses and compulsions to steal things, whether it's beneficial to him or not. Kind of like how I steal my content ideas from other YouTubers, whether it's beneficial or not. So his deco, as you can probably see, is very different from Barrage's, as is his silhouette, which has protruding deer antlers coming out of the side of him and spider legs at the back. Like, it looks like if he falls on his back, he can just crawl away. These legs look so dumb. The colors on him, as I said earlier, look like chocolate, but that's fine because chocolate is eye candy, as is this guy. Now, the orange and the brown, you would think would not work and just look terrible, but it just works. I don't know what it is, it just really goes together well, looks nice. He even has little white highlights in random parts on his body, which just help to break it up and make it look better. He's also got red shoulder pads, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really feeling the red shoulder pads. But I just genuinely find this guy's color scheme attractive. Not like that. Now his face sculpt looks like Killer Moth from Batman, but considering they're both bug-based villains, I guess he gets a pass. Now just like Barrage, he comes with a bunch of accessories, mainly just guns, which can all combine into bigger guns, but I'm just not going to bother putting them on him either because I like his singular pistol on him. Also, these two guys came with the Hammer Guy, just reminding you he exists. If I don't get to forget him, neither do you. Here he is, Windsweeper the Legend, who's actually the only reason I even brought any of these. Without Windsweeper, there would be no Mayhem Attack Squad video, and I would not be $300 down the drain on all these Mayhem Attack Squad figures. Thanks a lot, Windsweeper. Windsweeper is actually the entire reason that I gave Breakdown a shot. Imagine if instead of coming with Windsweeper, Breakdown came with a Fossilizer. I definitely would have never brought that pack. So what is it that I like so much about Windsweepers? Well, for starters, he's everything that I don't like about Needle Nose. Is it a sin to say that? Am I going to get crucified for saying I don't like Needle Nose that much? I like Needle Nose, right? His mold is awesome. I just don't like his medieval helmet and his color scheme. And Windsweeper, Windsweeper doesn't have a medieval helmet, and he doesn't have that color scheme, which is why I like Windsweeper so much. And also, in lore, Windsweeper is so much better than Needlenose because he's not a coward like Needlenose and he doesn't run away. That's all I know about Needlenose. Windsweeper also has germophobia, which means he's clean. Now, Windsweeper's mold, like Bludgeon's, is one of the best articulation-wise. The only problem I have with him is this airplane nose that sits between his legs and looks like a giant third leg. But to be fair, Needlenose is the exact same issue. I just wish it wasn't an issue. Now, back to talking about his paint. Out of all the figures, I find Windsweeper's to be the best. While not as clean as Breakdown's, the metallic silver on his chest and knees just adds so much flavor to the figure that it overwhelms your taste buds and makes you want to bite him and eat into the plastic and start chewing. Okay, it doesn't make you want to do that. That was just a description. His head sculpt as well is amazingly done and looks good for the other head sculpts. And yeah, his head sculpt looks a little plain, like a random foot soldier, but I mean, that's kind of what Windsweeper is. He's just a random dude with germophobia. Leave him alone. Finally, I'm going to talk about Windsweeper's little gun companions that he comes with, which I really don't care about these little gun people. It's pretty cool, I guess, that Transformers have little gun people companions, but it's just not my thing, alright? No disrespect if you like guns that transform into people, like Megatron, but on a way smaller scale, that are more handheld. Also, this little gun person is holding a gun, and I wonder if his gun transforms. It probably doesn't, but I wonder how deep the Transformers gun rabbit hole goes. Anyway, that's my review of the individual figures complete. But that is not the end of the video because you can't buy these guys individually. You can only buy them in 2-packs unless you get a good deal on eBay or someone trades you. But you're probably just going to get these guys off Amazon in their 2-packs. So I'm going to have to make another ranking segment, which will be much quicker than the last one, but this time with the 2-packs. So way at the bottom here, wouldn't you know it, Ruckus and Bludgeon. Now, just because it's at the bottom doesn't mean it's bad. If you like these characters and you genuinely feel interested in them and want to get them, go get them. They're good figures, as long as your Ruckus doesn't have a loose leg. But Bludgeon is beautifully made. His Subway art deco is great, and he's a nice noodle slurping individual, but it still gets third place because the other ones are better in my eyes. In second place, only because it comes with Malleus Minotaurus. No, I'm kidding. If you want Malleus Minotaurus, this is the only way to get him. Or maybe if you dig through my garbage bin, you might find him if you're lucky. But these Bug Boys were literally so awesome. I was not expecting them to be this good, as good as they are. Compared to the other Insecticons, I find them so much better. No offense, other Insecticons, but I just like them a lot, especially Barrage here. I just don't know what it is, but they have aura. Kind of like how in number 1, the best one in my eyes, Breakdown and Windsweeper, they both have aura as well. And sure, Breakdown isn't the best action figure in the world, but Windsweeper is just so good. I don't know what it is about him, but he really is an amazing figure, and Breakdown is the icing on the cake if you like the way he looks. If you don't like the way Breakdown looks, then I don't know what to tell you. You probably should not buy this pack unless you want Windsweeper, who is the superior Needlenose. I said it. So yeah, that's about everything I have to say in this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time if I ever upload again.